r/AskReddit. What was the incident at your school? In middle school some kids put laxative chocolates in donuts and handed them out. The school went on lockdown. The police came. Kids were crying. Kids were pooping. Kids were looking for some donuts to get out of class. It was an interesting day. You figure the sight of kids having sonic diarrhea would tell them skipping class is not worth it. I went to Catholic school, and so we had a school chaplain who was essentially some sort of friend to the kids. It sounds really creepy when you say it like that, but the dude was ducking amazing. He talked multiple students out of suicide, helped tons of kids come to terms with and overcome bullying, harassment and sexual/domestic abuse, as well as encouraging every single student to reach for their dreams. Anyway, he once went the extra mile for a very troubled family at my school. The two kids in question were adopted brothers and both incredibly unstable. The brothers would be your best friend one second, and they suddenly fly off the handle the next, making you literally fear for your life. Anyway, knowing their family problems, the school chaplain volunteered to become the two boys' godfather in order to legally be able to help them and their family out financially. About a year after I finished school, the school chaplain appeared in the local newspapers. He had been arrested and imprisoned for raping the older of the two lads. For most people, that was enough to condemn him, but most of the people I went to school with found the whole thing to be somewhat suspicious. Whenever someone encountered one of the two boys, they would instantly launch into a step-by-step recount of what exactly happened, as if desperate to convince everyone they knew that they were telling the truth. The only thing wrong was that these step-by-step recounts were usually vastly different each time they were told, as if poorly thought out. Regardless, the chaplain imprisoned and eventually died of cancer while still inside. It was only after his death that it finally came out that the rape never happened. The chaplain had run into financial trouble himself and so was unable to keep giving the boy's family money. As punishment, the whole family, yes, the parents were the ones to came up with the idea, invented the rape story to teach him a lesson. The guy was a ducking hero. He even helped my girlfriend at the time get through her parents' divorce in one piece, and yet his lot in life wound up with him sad, forgotten and alone. Seniors at our high school had a lounge. Real nice place. It was at a back area near the auditorium. They found a couple having sex there, and so they did the reasonable thing to do and moved the lounge's location to right next to the front office. Then they found people smoking weed in there, so they removed the walls to the lounge and added glass walls instead. Ducking balls smoking right next to the office. There was also the time where a kid died in the courtyard after practicing wrestling moves, falling and hitting his head on the bench. As someone who saw him fall, be resuscitated by a teacher, and then die, it was pretty traumatic. That was probably the main incident until a couple of years later, when another kid died after getting hit by a car after school. We sadly had a kid who climbed up the closed bleachers, ones that could pull away from the wall, and dove into a soccer netting of some type headfirst as a prank, we think. He did not survive. Edit. And a girl I rode the bus with went missing and was found dead under a pile of smoldering tires. She was still alive when they set the tires on fire. And two girls a few years younger than me got in a car with an older guy they knew who took them out in the woods and beat them both with a baseball bat, one to death and the other survived by crawling to a road. Damn, it sounds like I grew up in a rough area but not really. Second edit. So apparently some of you are saying none of this is true. It indeed is, but I'm not going to provide the name of the area since I'd like to keep my specific location private. Also, I'm old, so this was a long time ago. Like pre-internet. So if you're trying to search any of it, you won't find it. Last year I did try to look up info on the baseball bat case because I was curious what sentence the guy got and if he was still locked up. After a ton of digging I only found one legal paper about an appeal he tried. Final edit. I was looking up the wrong name. The guy is in prison for life. First degree murder and rape. And he didn't actually know the girls. The other girl recovered and testified. Someone set off a pepper spray bomb in the hallway after lunch. We were evacuated to the building next door and only directly related family members were allowed to pick us up. My neighbor drove my sister and I to school, so we were stuck there for like 3 hours. Also, that was on my birthday. This was an ongoing thing, I guess you could call a series of incidents, but shit hit the fan the year after I graduated. One of the teachers, Teacher #1, was found to have been having an ongoing relationship with an 18-year-old student. Not really that crazy, I mean it is, but you hear about stuff like that all the time. The crazy part is what they uncovered while investigating Teacher #1. Another teacher, Teacher #2, was found to also have been having sex with students. Multiple students, 16 of them, to be exact, spanning over the course of his entire career, somewhere between 15 to 20 years. Apparently he would pick a new girl every year or so, groom her, and have a relationship with her until she graduated, and he moved on to someone else. He had one of them, voluntarily, as in she was not technically kidnapped, but went there on her own accord, living in his basement, and they would go on vacations together. Once the news about him came out, everyone went wild. They also found a third teacher, Teacher #3, while investigating #2. Teacher #3 was a substitute that would buy underage girls alcohol in exchange for oral sex. All three were subsequently arrested and serving sentences in jail. A grand jury investigation found that the school board members, including the superintendent and the principal at the high school, all knew about Teacher #2's ongoing behavior, as there was numerous reports about it through the years, but there was a culture of we gotta protect each other and the school's reputation, and nothing was done about it. The superintendent of the school board resigned, but now for some reason has been put back onto the school board, and the cycle will continue. TL. Doctor, teachers banging students for like 20 years at my school, and the school covered it up. In college, we had the poop bandit. Less one incident and more a string of them. Some of his exploits. Shit in the washers in the men's freshman dorm. They were all top loaders, and not many checked them. He'd shit in a random one every couple of weeks. Left pizza boxes in the co-ed dorm common areas with shit in them. Set it up so that it looked like hey, free pizza. Forced the elevator door open in the co-ed dorm floor above the elevator and shit on top. It took a week for anyone to figure out why the elevator stank. In elementary school, all the boys got sent outside the last hour of class and lined up because someone had smeared their shit all over in the men's bathroom. I know now that they were looking at our fingernails because most kids aren't smart enough to clean under them. They told us to all hold out our hands and would send us back to class one by one after looking at them. I've posted this before, but I figure these threads could always use some more positive stories. My high school was relatively free from bullying, but the biggest hullabaloo surrounded a mildly autistic student we had who was the subject of some tormenting from his classmates. Some jackoffs figured out they could make him lose his cool by repeatedly clicking their pens and then acting like they couldn't hear it. It got so bad he had to leave class crying. Our history teacher, whom the whole school liked, went on to become principal, went door to door in every classroom to explain to the students what was going on. Rather than talk about bullying, he simply told us that he had thought better of us and was very disappointed to be proven wrong. Sometime the next week, someone was clicking the pens again. To rile the poor student up, when quarterback of our football stood up, walked over to the kid doing the clicking, took his pens, books, and backpack and threw it all in the garbage before returning to his seat. The English teacher leading the class acted like they hadn't seen a thing. The bullying stopped after that. Not a juicy scandal, but I figured I'd contribute a more positive story amidst all the student-teacher ducking. 2 incidents. Someone flushed pig guts down the toilet on the 2nd floor after a biology lab. It wrecked the plumbing, and blood and sewage came raining through the drop ceiling over the special ed class. Someone thought it would be funny to unleash a can of bear spray in the hallway at lunch one day. The entire school was evacuated to the football field in the rain. No one of authority knew it was bear spray, and so we were not allowed to leave the football field until they could determine the threat level of the biochemical weaponry unleashed in our small town Canadian high school in the early 2000s. Anyone in the immediate vicinity of the bear spray was taken to the front parking lot, clothing removed, and hosed down with a fire hose in November. Their clothes were bagged up and taken to a lab for testing, and the naked students and some naked teachers were given basically poly sheets and told to sit on a couple of city buses that were commandeered by the local police department and fire department during the investigation. A hazmat team went into the school and found the bear spray. We all got to go home after that. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Leave a like and subscribe.